3, 2, 1.
There are people who will do anything for thrills. We call them daredevils.
Off, and that means 10 feet, and you can eat it.
Who are these people, and what drives them on to flirt with destruction? Could they be possessed by a daredevil death wish? The tower is 55 feet high. The water is 18 inches deep. The man will survive. The daredevil gained great popularity in the 1920s. Harry Houdini was the inspiration and the most emulated daredevil of them all. What Houdini could actually do has been simulated and faked by many in the years following. He was the father of it all. Here, in rare footage taken in New York at the turn of the century, this master of the art demonstrates his escape abilities. The ability to escape is at the root of all stunts, not out of a straitjacket or trunk or flaming pyre, but from the clutches of death itself. Whenever you have winners, you may have losers. On a warm July day in 1930, a well-dressed gentleman and a turtle prepare for a journey into legend. They will attempt a stunt that has almost become the signature of the death wish. To go over Niagara Falls in a barrel. The greatest asset a daredevil has is himself. Only through discipline and practice can he even hope to survive. But even those are not enough if you lack the most important quality of all: luck. Perhaps some stunts should never even be tried. What is it that compels a man to go past the boundary of what is safe in order to risk his life? None of the stunts you will see in this program should ever be attempted. They are part of the world of the daredevil, a world where an inch, a second, or a bad reaction can make the difference between life and death. Our quest then is to find out, what is the source of the daredevil death wish? At first glance, there's nothing that would separate Pat Jackson from any other 42-year-old housewife and mother. Unless she happens to be on the road. Pat is one of the members of the World Series of Thrills, a group of daredevils who tour the country.
I consider myself a daredevil. I've been in the business for several years and just love it. I consider myself the normal housewife. I cook and wash dishes and wash clothes and go to the market, just like everyone else. It's very rewarding. It's something different. It's a challenge, and I feel very lucky that I've accomplished something that not very few people do.
As the crew sets up her most spectacular stunt, a motorcycle jump through flaming boards, Pat thinks about the danger.
I'm always a little shaky before every show. There's a certain element of danger if you lose control of your bike, or if you're not lined up on the ramp properly, or crash into the uprights. And if you're not going fast enough, you could get burned. It gets pretty hot.
Roger Kober is only 22 years old. His specialty is called the slide for life.
You got to keep your heels up and your elbows and your back of your helmet, so you don't hit the ground. If you put your heels down, you can just start rolling. I got a few scratches. I haven't broke any bones yet doing it. If you think about it, it just might happen. So just try not to think about it.
As soon as the truck reaches 50 miles per hour, Roger will begin his slide. This time, the unexpected will happen. A slight miscalculation sent Roger into a dangerous tumble. Bruised and visibly shaken, he refused to acknowledge how close he came. The slow-motion camera shows what happened.
Hi there, I'm Hank Wise. What you're about to see is called the Iron Man.
Relying solely on the precise alignment of veteran daredevils Eldon Daniels and driver John Anderson, Iron Man Wise puts his life on the line as he prepares to let more than 2.5 tons of truck drive over his body.
Danger is the weight of the automobile that we're using. We're using a truck, so we're coming pretty close to a 5,000-pound vehicle. At one time, I had the truck came off the end of the ramp, broke both the legs. You do something 100 times, your odds start gathering towards experiencing these little difficulties. I think that the epitome of the stuntman is that comes your time to go, you'll go. And up until that time, you want to fill your life with as many exciting things as you can.
Critical inches separate Anderson from success or agony.
I look forward to telling my grandchildren about the times I've been run over with trucks, and I lived through it.
This is a charge that's been set and taught to me some years ago by a man by the name of Johnny King. He perfected this event. It's one that's going to cause quite a bit of noise, quite a bit of excitement, and a real blast. What's going to happen first is the placing of the charge. As you get in to place the charge, you then check your perimeter, be sure everything is clear, and then hope for the best. The danger involved, of course, as most everybody knows, explosives are not to be played with. It's not a toy. It is a calculated risk, and it will work today. We generally feel that people come out to see what's going to happen to somebody. If the blood is spilled, they kind of like to be there. They're not mercenary and want to see it, but if it happens, they don't want to miss it.
After placing the equivalent of 6 sticks of dynamite below himself, John Anderson prepares to set off the charge.
You kind of get a self-sustaining thought that, guys, this is really what it's all about. It's a sense of freedom. And as you talk about a sense of freedom, nothing's better than coming close and walking away.
Anderson withstands the deafening force of 6 sticks of TNT. He, like the other daredevils we spoke with, seems to exist for the sheer thrill of cheating death. Why? What is the real motive behind the daredevil death wish?
Suicide!
Where do daredevils come from? At his school in California, veteran stuntman Jim Kahana trains the daredevils of the future. And though they may call the jump suicide, safety and training are of prime concern.
Approach the trampoline with your feet distanced apart so that when you're going to hit the tramp, your left foot will be forward, okay? Then you watch your spot on here, because if you're not watching the trampoline, your foot could get caught here, or when you jump, it could get caught in between the springs.
Hopeful to become stuntmen for films, these young people must first learn their craft from the basics up. Without the proper equipment and professional training, none of these stunts should ever be tried.
Okay, this is a special harness made for this. How's it feel? And just remember, you guys, you can't do this without this type of jacket. You have to have the special materials and the equipment for these sort of things. Now walk the bike out. Walk it out little by little so you can feel where it's coming to. Keep going. Keep going.
A dangerous movie stunt is demonstrated and attempted, each step of the way blocked and discussed. If done incorrectly or without proper equipment, the illusion of being shot off a horse or speeding motorcycle can be fatal. It requires training.
Okay, you hold it.
How down feel?
Bang.
Look good. That looks going good.
How do you feel? All right. Good. Great. There is danger in everything. What I try to do is set the stunt up and make the illusion out of it and show them the difference between what you can do without thinking and what you can do with thinking.
I'm gonna do a suicide here. Actually, just land on your back and your butt like. But see the difference here, you gotta go a lot slower because it's a distance. You fall, if you go too far, you land on your neck, so I'll give it a shot.
Daredevil is a guy that just says, well, let's just go for it. Stuntman nowadays kind of figures everything out and makes it look like an illusion. That's what we want to do with these kids. We want them to know that there's an illusion factor. Children, kids, they have no fear whatsoever. They'll do anything. So what I have to do is try to mold that energy that they have into safety. All kids love to do anything. If they see somebody jumping off a building, they want to do it too.
Somewhere in the enthusiasm of these young people, we may find the seed of the daredevil wish. The belief that there is always a way to do what seems impossible. Perhaps the ultimate daredevil story belongs to Chuck Strange, pickup pilot.
Well, I love the sound of crunching metal. That's what it started out to be. I started off with demolition derbies and really enjoyed it. And I started wanting to be more specialized and have my very own unique act. Nobody was jumping a pickup. They said it was impossible, and I said, great. Next thing you know, I'm flying a truck through the air. Flying a pickup is just one of the ultimate stunts. I mean, it's unheard of. You shouldn't be doing it. The very first pickup jump was ramp to ground, and the doctor said I should have died in that one. I landed so hard that they say my spine should have been shoved into my skull, and I should have been a foot shorter, which just ruins their wardrobe. My world record jump, 107 feet over 18 cars, was set at the Ontario Motor Speedway, and that jump in itself was in fact flying a truck through the air further and farther and higher than the Wright brothers' first airplane flight. Your lineup is very critical. A bike jumper can look at his ramps and his speed and the whole thing at one time. When you're in that pickup, you've got to look at the speed or your ramps. Coming down the lane, you've got to make sure your mouth is closed or you'll bite your tongue off from the blow. You've got to exhale, where your normal reaction is to inhale. To me, something scary is to go swimming.
Why a daredevil seeks out danger and death has been researched by psychologist and sociologist Dr. Samuel Z. Klausner, author of Why Man Dares.
What they've done is increase the general energy level by going through fear. And by going through fear and overcoming fear, they end up with a quantum, with an amount of euphoria that they couldn't have enjoyed otherwise. And that's the base of the motive for doing some of these thrill-seeking things.
They know the thin line between euphoria and horror.
I never had any nightmares until that fateful dome crash. And when that happened, I mean, I don't know, it must have taken me at least 6 months. I mean, I would literally wake up in the middle of the night, the usual routine you always hear about, sweating, and I would just relive that crash over and over again. And it was rather horrifying because it was a very spectacular crash. And just to think about it, you know, kind of gives you a shiver.
The place, the Houston Astrodome, 1978.
On the pass that I made to go up the ramp, the suspension broke, and I just knew I was in trouble.
Most of the 59,000 people watching were sure that Chuck Strange was dead, a fear shared even by his own crew.
Next thing I know, I was knocked unconscious from a blow to my nose, which broke my nose. It came just that close to cutting my head off. About 30 seconds later, I came to, and your head's down, there's blood gushing out of your mouth, your nose. The first thing you see are your bones sticking up out of your arms. Your elbows are broken. As a result, I was hospitalized for 4 weeks and had to undergo 7 operations, 6 to my arms and 1 to my nose for plastic surgery.
We sometimes wonder why people return to the stress-seeking situation, even when engaging in stress-seeking, doing something risky, leads to physical harm. People will end up in the hospital, and as soon as they're out of the hospital, go back into the stress-seeking act. One of the things that we find is that there's an obsessional character, and if you will, almost an addictive aspect to stress-seeking. Once somebody has tasted it, the need to do it again becomes even stronger than it was the first time.
I'm not going to be satisfied until I've flown a truck over 40 cars.
After 2 years of recovery and countless operations, Daredevil Chuck Strange plans his future.
I've also got this hell-bent dream, if you don't mind, that I want to fly a diesel truck with trailers. And I want to jump that over at least 20 cars, 25, right in that area. I'm convinced I've worked out the possibilities. I know I can do it. I've got it all worked out, and I'm just very anxious to fly a diesel truck through the air.
Most of the daredevils have a deep desire to live to the hilt, and they're engaging in these stress-seeking activities are really ways in which they can maximize the effect of their living.
They think I have a death wish, people on my line. 3 times now I'm supposed to have died. Doctors have said you did not survive that crash. So I've jokingly said I'm immortal. But when you come that close to dying, and believe me, I've been there, I think you appreciate life. I know you appreciate life more than the average person does. I mean, sure, people are out there that have been injured bad and are still depraved in some way, but when you've come that close to dying, just a simple thing like seeing the sun come up, the birds singing, to get up and walk again with your own feet, I appreciate life very, very much. I do not want to die. I believe in what I'm doing. If I thought I'd die tomorrow, I would never get in a pickup again. I've always said I'm either going to be dead or retired by the time I'm 35, and I got to get in there.
It's very easy for the daredevil to go over the brink, to push himself or herself to the edge and move into self-destruction, so that being a daredevil or a stress seeker almost can become suicidal.
Let us warn the foolhardy. What professional daredevils do, let others not try to imitate. Recognize the dangers for what they are. Daredevils are special members of our society. By taking us with them to the edge of life, they make us acutely aware of our mortality and the value of our existence. We can all feel a little more alive because of these extraordinary people and their daredevil death wish.
Coming up next, In Search Of continues with an investigation of firewalking. Then, on FBI The Untold Stories, see the story of hijacker D.B. Cooper. And on Sunday night, battle veterans and historians explore in depth the first combat hotspot of the Cold War in the Korean War, Fire and Ice. Beginning at 8 here on the History Channel, where the past comes alive.